Welcome to Mojo Talks. I'm Eric, and today I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, who also happens to be our CEO and founder of WatchMojo, Ashkan Karbastrishan. How you doing, Ash?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
So we're talking business today, and very interesting stuff. So Group 9's the Dodo, which is, I would consider it like the lad Bible of animal videos. They are launching a Spanish channel. Now, we launched our own Spanish channel a couple of years back. Are we, is this a pattern? Are we going to see more of this?
Absolutely. I mean, by 2050, Spanish will be the second most spoken language after Mandarin, and it's already a huge demographic. So absolutely, I think it does make sense at a macro level because there's so many speakers out there. At a micro level, I think you just have to be careful because the discretionary income in most of these countries isn't that high, meaning that advertising isn't that lucrative, meaning CPM rates isn't that rich. So you have to play the long game, but you do need to be in these markets for sure.
But I would assume it was a no-brainer to do Mojo Español. Is that the case?
No, not really. I mean, frankly, we registered our Spanish URLs in 2012, but it was only 2015 that we decided to go for it. And frankly, the first year, most people were scratching their heads saying this is a waste of time and energy. Whereas today, everybody is, living la vida loca, saying, I'm glad I thought of this idea, Ash, I'm glad you ran with it. I never really viewed our Spanish channel as a near-term moneymaker. In fact, even today, it's not a moneymaker. The Spanish channel's monetization is 1/10 of our English channel. But it is more of a long-term bet. It drives a lot of value, it drives a lot of reach. I think if you want to be a truly global brand a la Coca-Cola or MTV, these iconic brands, you do need to think global. And so for us, it didn't really make a lot of sense if we were thinking near term, but I remind people that when we started WatchMojo, it lost money for 6 years, and neither WatchMojo or WatchMojo Español were kind of intended to be money makers. It was kind of, I felt it was a cool project. I felt if we did a good job over time, maybe we could build a business around it. So it definitely, you do need to be in this space, but you have to be careful how you go about it.
And you mentioned playing the long game. I assume that's what you mean, is that it's not going to be an overnight success. You really have to take your time with these things.
Yeah, I mean, there's no such thing as an overnight success. And I think if you chase near-term profits, there's a good chance that many others are as well. So those profits actually evaporate because of heightened competition. I think Español is a very good example of that. So is China, so is India. But I think the Spanish one is a bit different because of the big amount of Spanish-speaking residents even in the US, where it kind of is a bit more interesting than some of the other verticals that we're in. We have a number of channels, and Spanish will be hitting 3 million in a couple of weeks, so we're pretty happy about that.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, it did pay off because, how long until we're at 3 million?
It took 2.5 years, and I would say most of the acceleration came in the last 6 to 12 months. I mean, by and large, a YouTube channel, the first 6 months is kind of very much, exploratory. You're trying to figure it out. I think for us, we started off largely by translating some of our videos that had like a global appeal. And then we started creating originals for the Spanish channel, and which we now translate back into English, kind of a reverse strategy. And then I think the long-term plan, whether it's 2020 or 2050, hopefully closer to 2020, is to have like truly local content.
What would you think is probably the most surprising markets to watch?
Within the Spanish-speaking countries or globally?
Globally, and even other languages. Like, what would we be surprised to know is a good area to go after?
Well, I mean, surprisingly, the Italian channel hit 100,000 subscribers in a pretty quick timeline. But again, is there any money in Italy? Not really, but we don't, I know it sounds weird, we don't care about money, right? It's more like we want to be serving people wherever they are, so to speak. China is a really exciting place. We launched a partnership earlier this year, and we've done over 100 million views there, so that's really exciting. Yeah. I was in Beijing, and I was like, hey, in a few years, we'll all be working for the Chinese, right? So I would say the obvious ones are a no-brainer. China, India, we're in all these markets, and it's very much of a long-term bet. But I do get sometimes more satisfaction when somebody emails us from like, we were talking right before going on air, is there going to be a WatchMojo Greece? Maybe. It's not a huge market, but it would be cool to have our content in those markets. And I think if you really look at this as a long-term initiative and project, I could see a time when WatchMojo is available in 50 languages or so. But doesn't mean that we'll be there tomorrow. It is a very long-term bet.
So you're playing the 2050 game.
There you go.
Right on. Well, looking forward to seeing all of you guys in 2050. Thanks, Ash, for being here.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next time.